And it's just basketball. At the end of the day, it's just basketball.
Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. I hope you all are having a truly fantastic day today on this Monday. All right, people, it is Monday and it is time to get to the comments from the super thanks from last week, or in other words, what viewers have to say about LeBron James, the leader of the 4 and 6 Kingdom, and Michael Jordan. That's primarily what the comments are about. But before we get started, as always, I want to give a shout out to the channel members. Shout out to Gary, aka G the Great One. Shout out to Dr. Les Barrett, Thanos Snap Feminism, Keith Brazel, Charles Hooker, In the Groove 56, Vernon Lee Warren, Whizman Ballin, Great Juice, Siberius, The Real Heisenberg, Mary Lewis, and Adidas 20. Thank you all so very much for being members of the channel. Thank you all so very much for your continuous support. All right. First up, shout out to at Adidas 20. This is coming from last week's What Viewers Have to Say About LeBron James and Michael Jordan. He comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, James copied MJ pregame powder routine. MJ number 23 in Space Jam, but James could not copy MJ's basketball fundamentals or winning traits. Indeed. I would say he didn't even attempt to copy MJ's fundamentals or winning traits. Like I said, the problem with LeBron James is he got so much hype around high school. And I'm going to do another video on this. He got so much hype around high school that's all he really knew. He only knew praise. And so everything in his NBA career was done to try and maintain that praise. I believe when he got to the NBA, criticism was a new thing for him. Criticism was a shock to him. And, LeBron James, everything he has done in his NBA career to me has been to try to maintain the praise he was getting in high school. But it didn't work, LeBron James. But shout out to Adidas 20. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to The Real Siberius. This is coming from the same video. He comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, I would rather 1,000 times be a free soul in jail than to be a sycophant and coward in the streets. I wish I was a master of CGI. If I were there, I would take footage of LeBron James playing and change the face and jersey and then show it to the media and his fanboys. I guarantee they would be appalled at how awful and fundamentally unsound he is. He looks like a lumbering hulk trudging down the court. If I told them the exact same stats, all of a sudden they would think it's terrible and he would be ridiculed. They simp for the name only. Remove the name and they would attack him with reckless abandon, and rightfully so. Yeah. Exactly. This is what I tried to say to you LeBron James fanboys many times on this channel. It's not about the name. It is about his actions. And you guys take it personally like LeBron James is a family member. Or more than that, like you're Savannah James or something. But it is not about LeBron James, the name. It is about his actions. But I feel like LeBron James fanboys, you guys are attached to the name LeBron James. But, you're beyond help. So, I just enjoy watching your King's Kingdom crumble. Shout out to At The Real Siberius. Thanks so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for the continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to Kirby Augustine 761. And he comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, thanks. What people fail to understand is that before LeBron left the Cavs the first time, every move he made moving forward was aligned with supplanting MJ as the GOAT. I'll also add that LeBron purposefully tanked the Mavs series so D-Wade wouldn't win Finals MVP. At that time, he understood that having another player win Finals MVP over him in a final series eliminated him from the GOAT conversation, period. Shout out to at Kirby Augustine. I think we all know that LeBron James wishes he could replace Michael Jordan. He wants to. He wants everything that Michael Jordan had, including to be looked at as the greatest player of all time. But again, LeBron James went about that the complete wrong way, because he had no understanding of what it truly takes. Again, Kobe Bryant had the understanding of what it takes. LeBron James didn't have the matter of fact, the funny thing about LeBron James fanboys is they believe like LeBron believes. And LeBron James fanboys believe that Michael Jordan's GOAT status was just due to marketing. And I believe this is what LeBron James believes. LeBron James believes that due to the Be Like Mike commercials and stuff like that, it convinced everyone that Michael Jordan was the GOAT. But this is the problem with LeBron James and his fanboys, is that's not why Michael Jordan was the GOAT. Michael Jordan had the Be Like Mike commercials because he was the GOAT. Because he was that great, that it inspired these things. It wasn't the other way around, that these things inspired people to think Michael Jordan was the GOAT. It was because he was so great on the basketball court that it inspired these other things. It inspired the shoe sales. It inspired people to want to buy his shoes so they could be like Mike. Not the other way around. But LeBron James and his fanboys think the same on this thing. Now, I will say, I've heard the theory of him throwing the Mavs series so D-Wade wouldn't win the finals. And that one I don't know about, because really at the end of the day, he was at a loss either way, because due to the fact that he played so horribly, he still knocked himself out the GOAT conversation. I mean, so yeah, I don't know. But anyway, shout out to at Kirby Augustine 761. Thank you so very much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to at Story Games 8520. This is coming from is the LeBron James era really bigger, stronger, and faster? And he comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, hey, Uncommon, do you think that in the coming years, we will see far less spectacular athletes in the NBA draft? As you mentioned, the NBA had a bigger pool of athletes because the game was more popular and more people wanted to play basketball. However, with the NBA's decreased popularity, I expect to see less people will want to play at a professional level than in previous years. Maybe the NBA will have to do more of their recruiting overseas. That's a good question. And honestly, I think we're at the point to where there's enough awareness about the game that I don't know if there'll come a time to where the NBA is overall less athletic, for the simple fact, like I said, because there's an awareness about the game. Now, the popularity of the game may decrease in terms of whether people watch it, but as long as, people are aware that the NBA exists, like I said, people normally gravitate towards what they're good at. And, you know, someone who's athletic and they know they can get a decent payday in the NBA, they're still going to gravitate towards that. Whereas back, you know, when the game first started, like, you know, they were trying to increase awareness about the game. They were trying to increase the popularity, but just increasing the awareness, you know, increasing the fact that people know that this thing called the NBA exists, you know. And like I said, you go through the different stages, and then finally you get Magic and Bird, who increased that popularity dramatically, and then you got Michael Jordan, who took it worldwide to where people all across the world were now not only aware that the NBA exists, but because of Michael Jordan, became fans of the NBA. And like I said, you know, LeBron James fanboys, you can go research this yourself. When Michael Jordan retired from Chicago, ratings never, ever got back to where they were when Michael Jordan was playing for Chicago. They never, ever got back there again. Because Michael Jordan on the Chicago Bulls, he had people watching the game who weren't necessarily basketball fans, but who wanted to see this guy who was phenomenally great, who could do things that just weren't human. LeBron James didn't have that effect. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, but now that there's an awareness of the game, like as long as there's a decent paycheck, I feel like athletes will always gravitate towards what they're good at, and part of that will be the NBA. You know, but here's another thing for you LeBron James fanboys and people who are fanboys of the modern NBA era. And when I say fanboys, I mean who buy into all the hype about bigger, stronger, faster, and high IQ and more skilled and all this nonsense. For you people who buy into that bigger, stronger, faster thing, why is Luka and Jokic two of the best players in the NBA? Because these are not the bigger, stronger, faster of the athletes in the NBA. So again, even if you wanted to agree with the bigger, stronger, faster, obviously that plays a limited role in how great you are at basketball. That plays a limited role in how great you are at basketball. You know, besides the fundamentals, you know, basketball is about being crafty. You know, basketball is about, you know, using your instincts and knowledge of the game to bait and switch people into, you know, making them think you're going to do this when you're going to do that kind of thing, which is kind of what all sports is. So, yeah, you know, even if you wanted to give the benefit of the doubt and say, oh, yeah, this era's bigger, stronger, and faster. Well, really, what does that have to do with anything? Two of the best players in the NBA aren't the bigger, stronger, faster. You know. Matter of fact, you would argue that they're the more slower of the athletes in the NBA. But so yeah, to me, that's overblown in itself. You know, to me, the athletic part only really comes into play for people who aren't maximizing their fundamentals and knowledge of the game. And it comes into play for the people who absolutely maximizes, because then that's what gives you the edge. Again, with Michael Jordan, you know, one of the most fundamentally sound basketball players ever, and he had the athleticism on top of it, you know, unworldly athleticism on top of it. So, you know, the combination of those things is what made everything go a notch above what's possible. But if you're just talking about somebody that's more athletic, okay. I've played with plenty of athletic guys that weren't the best guys on the court. Plenty. And we still see that today. But anyway, Shout out to @StoryGames8520. Thank you so very much for the $2 super thanks, and thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, this is coming from @TheRealSiberius, and this is coming from my Larry Bird admits some of his teammates were jealous of him. And he comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, the worst denial of all is being in denial that we're in denial in the first place. Says, the one thing LeBron James fanboys can't understand is while Jordan is my GOAT, he isn't my favorite player. He is actually my fourth favorite player. I don't simp for him. I simply state the facts. They can't get past their emotional attachment to someone who they have never met and who wouldn't give a rat's A about them if they ever did. You can attack Jordan. You can malign him, and I don't care. I will, however, refute your ignorance or misinformation. He is not my friend. He isn't going to pay my mortgage. He just happens to be the greatest basketball player ever, and for me, and for that, I hold him in high esteem. The best part about fanboys is that they have no love for the game at all. They are sports, media, and social media bumpkins. They lack the knowledge and backbone to form their own ideas and opinions. They parrot back what they hear other sycophants say and play it off as if it was their point of view. If you were to utilize critical thinking, even for a moment, you would realize you are in denial and your king is a pathetic narcissist and isn't even worthy of your praise and certainly not worthy of your worship. Shout out to @TheRealSiberius for that comment. Yeah, you know, again, you LeBron James fanboys. Now, Michael Jordan happens to be my favorite player and is the GOAT, but I have lots of players that I really like. You know, some all-time greats, some not even all-time greats. You know, but again, if you can be objective about what you're seeing, this is what it's really about. It's okay. Well, honestly, I'll be. I was gonna say it's okay if LeBron James is your favorite player, but. Nah, at this point, I feel like if LeBron James is your favorite player, something is wrong. Again, for you to hold LeBron James in high esteem for any reason, you have to ignore a lot of deplorable behavior. I mean, that's just a fact at this point. So yeah, I can't. But outside of that, the point is, you know, you can have a favorite player while still admitting somebody's better than your favorite player, you know. And you LeBron James fanboys, you guys are just like, I don't know what kind of emotional attachment you got to this guy. And I know it's emotional attachment because, again, you know, when you guys get on here and name call and all that kind of stuff, it shows that you have an emotional attachment to this guy, you know, because it really doesn't make sense. Like some of you, you know, just like clockwork, you get on here several times a week and just to insult me. And I think to myself, like, wow, this is amazing that this guy has fans that will get so in their feelings about this guy. Like, this is truly amazing. Like, you guys are really like a case study. Every time I see certain people pop up in my comments with the same insults, it's just amazing to me, really. Again, because you won't see me on LeBron James fan channels. You will never see me on LeBron James fan channels trying to defend Michael Jordan to a bunch of people who wouldn't get it. Like, you just would never see that. So for you guys to come to my channel so regularly, you know, and to insult me because I'm hurting your feelings about your king. Like that truly amazes me. Like that truly, it is really perplexing, but entertaining at the same time. So hey, LeBron James fanboys, keep up the good work for your king. But anyway, shout out to at the Real Siberians. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to at Swan Daily. This is coming from my Ja Morant's behavior is Adam Silver's and LeBron James' fault. I know, fanboys, I know. Everything is about LeBron James. Your poor king. Your poor king just can't get a break from me. He comes through with the $2 super thanks. He says, as I study these NBA players and entertainers, I've been learning to be grateful that I am not in their positions. Making millions of dollars seems to kill people's humility. A humbler lifestyle tends to build people's character. I know this sentiment is bigger than basketball, but it explains why Ja behaves the way he does. Yeah. And unfortunately, in today's society, like clout has become even more precious than money to a lot of people. Clout has become more important than money, and the need to appear a certain way. The image factor has become such a big deal that, like I said, it really bothers me to see certain figures, from the 90s, especially if you were in the hip hop in the 90s, to see some of these so-called gangsters from the 90s now on social media, just self-snitching. And it's like, man, that is so disappointing to see. It's like, how do we get so caught up that everybody is willing to throw their integrity out the window just to get some likes, just to get some views, just to get people talking about them? Like it is just, but this is where we're at. And I feel like the NBA, again, is a reflection of that. LeBron James is the ultimate reflection of that. Like I said, because to me, everything LeBron James does is for praise. And it started in high school. Like LeBron James never really grew from high school. And I'm talking about mentally. He never grew out of that. He only grew, the money makes you more of who you are. And if, like I said, if you're not grounded, if you're not a grounded person, if you don't keep yourself surrounded by people who will tell you the truth and not what you want to hear. In other words, if you don't keep yourself surrounded by people with integrity who would not sell their integrity for money, because unfortunately, that's what happens. And ironically, it's usually the people who aren't grounded, who get a lot of money, and they purposefully surround themselves with people with no integrity because they don't want to be told no. They only want to be told how great they are. They only want to be co-signed for every wrong decision they may make and never challenged on any decision or opinion they may have. So people who aren't grounded, people with low integrity, they generally surround themselves with low integrity people because they want to feel like a king. They don't want to be challenged. But anyway, that's I could probably do a whole video on that. But shout out to S1 Daily. Thank you so much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so much for the continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to at the Doctor 3196. This is coming from my no evidence of LeBron James attending Kobe Bryant's funeral video. He says, when we play Call of Duty and throw grenades in the game for clutch kills, everyone says Kobe. That game franchise was at its peak in 2007 to 2012. How's that for legacy? But y'all fanboys should yell LeBron even though nobody does that playing that game. You know what? Every time you LeBron James fanboys use the word hater, y'all should yell LeBron with that as well. Yeah, so I never got into Call of Duty. But yeah, you know, this is just going back to Kobe. You know, like I said, if you grew up in the 90s, like when you did stuff, you would yell Jordan, and Kobe had that same effect. Like I said, during Kobe's era, people start yelling Kobe. And so, you know, you LeBron James fanboys, you should find something to yell that for your king about. You know, like every time you lose or miss out on an opportunity, you should yell LeBron. Maybe we should start doing that. Every time someone takes an L, you should yell out LeBron. That should be the new thing. And fanboys, that way your king will, you know, he can get his name yelled out too. Shout out to @the_Doctor3196. Thank you so much for the $5 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to @OneHawk. This is coming from the same video. He comes through with the $5 super thanks. He says, thanks. Also, no one has ever gone to LeBron to improve any facets of their game. There's nothing special about his game. Facts. And I would argue that no one can go to LeBron to improve facets of their game because LeBron James is not going to anyone to improve facets of his game. Like the people who are not only highly skilled, truly highly skilled, not just flashy, because nowadays skilled means flashy or it means shooting threes. It means one of the two. But back in the day when someone was skilled, and that's normally starting with a fundamental base. They're skilled in the fundamentals and build on top of that. All those guys learn from players of the past. And you know, all those guys weren't afraid to go to people and ask them for advice. You know, again, you hear Kobe talking about the people he's learned from. You hear Michael Jordan talking about the people he's learned from. You know, and the same with Magic and the same with Bird, you know, talking about the guys who they got things from. And this is what, you know, if you're a musician, it's the same in music. You know, I've heard a lot of guys in music like to say, oh, you know, I don't like to listen to guys of the past because I'm trying to sound different. No, you sound different by building upon the things that's already been done. You know, in the game of basketball, you find your way by building upon the things that's already been done. But again, LeBron James hasn't done that, and that's why, you know, he always looks clunky out there. And it's honestly gotten worse over the years. Like, a lot worse. But anyway, you know, that's your king, fanboys. Well, what more can we say about the guy? Shout out to @OneHawk. Thank you so much for the $5 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Next up, shout out to Timothy Ross Jr. And he comes through with the $2 super thanks, and he just simply says thanks. Thank you so very much for the $2 super thanks. Thank you so very much for your continued support of the channel. Thank you to each and every one of you out there who continue to support the channel, who continue to like the videos, who are subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed and you watch my videos, it would be greatly appreciated if you hit the subscribe button. And like I always say, please continue to support all of the content creators who give you their takes with integrity and honesty. Shout out to Angry Old Hoop Sports and Fitness Rants. Shout out to Brandon Love Sports. Shout out to the Format Podcast. Shout out to Uncut Hoops. Shout out to Man Down Sports. Shout out to Sports T. Shout out to Two Raw for Sports and Ticket TV and Dreamers Pro. Shout out to who am I forgetting? Shout out to Phenomenal Fitness. Shout out to Michael Jordan fans are the best. Shout out to 93 Zay. And if there's anybody else I forgot, please drop them in the comments so that people can go and follow them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about any of the comments made today. You all have a truly fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. All right.